In the vast expanse of the Orion Arm, the Zirian had long been known as a race of peaceful explorers and brilliant scientists. Their homeworld, Zapia, was a haven of technological marvels and natural wonders. For millennia, they reached out to the stars, seeking knowledge and friendship among the cosmos. But on a fateful day, their idyllic existence was shattered. The skies above Zapia darkened as a massive fleet of unknown origin dropped out of hyperspace. Within moments, the planet's defensive grid lit up with warnings, and panicked voices filled communication channels. The Zirian High Council, unaccustomed to conflict, struggled to comprehend the unfolding catastrophe. First Counselor Era, her iridescent scales shimmering with stress, addressed her people citizens of Zapia. An unknown force has entered our system with hostile intent. We are unprepared for this. Our defenses will not hold. Her voice trembled, but she remained firm. We must call for aid.
Small but deadly, Dravak corrected. Their bones are like carbon fiber, their muscles dense. They may not look like much, but when they get riled up. He shuddered, his scales clattering. I've heard stories, Zyrex. A human child once took down a fully grown Brask warrior that's impossible. Zyrex scoffed, though his voice trembled slightly. The Brask were among the most feared warrior species in the galaxy, their size and strength unmatched by almost any other race. Is it? Dravak countered. Have you ever seen what a human can do when they're angry? Their strength multiplies. These kids are trained to control it, but sometimes they lose control. Zyrex found himself staring at the human children, a mix of fear and fascination growing in him. The humans seemed completely unconcerned with the scrutiny they were under. One of them, a lanky boy with piercing eyes, caught Zyrex's gaze and grinned. It wasn't a friendly grin. Did you hear about the incident on Kalra 4? Dravak whispered. A group of human children on a field trip was ambushed by a pack of Vor hounds. The hounds are known for their speed and razor-sharp claws. The kids didn't even flinch. They tore the hounds apart with their bare hands. Zyrex's mandibles twitched in disbelief. And the authorities just let them walk away. Let them. Dravak let out a hissing laugh. They were commended for their bravery. Humans don't see violence like we do. For them, it's a part of life. They teach their young to fight as soon as they can walk. It's survival of the fittest. Zyrex looked back at the humans, who had now gathered in a circle. The boy in the center was leading a chant, the words unfamiliar, but the intensity was clear. The other children chanted back, their voices rising in unison, creating a rhythm that sent shivers down Zyrex's spine. What are they doing now? Zyrex asked, his curiosity piqued. Training. Dravak replied simply. To them, it's a game, but it's all practice. Humans believe in something called conditioning. They push themselves to the brink over and over until pain doesn't matter anymore. Zyrex watched as the boy in the center suddenly lunged, tackling another child to the ground. The two rolled, grappling with a fluidity that was far too efficient to be a mere scuffle. The other children cheered them on, but the cheering wasn't that of spectators at a sport. There was something darker, more primal in their voices. The pinned child flipped his opponent with a move shockingly brutal for his size. Zyrex could hardly believe the ferocity on display. Before he could react, the pinned child broke free, slipping out from under his opponent with a speed Zyrex could barely track. The fight continued, but there was no anger, no malice. This was just normal for them. See what I mean? Dravak whispered. They're not like us. To them, fighting is just part of growing up. By the time they reach adulthood, their lethal. Zyrex felt a cold knot forming in his stomach. The Galactic Academy was supposed to be a place of learning and peace, but with these human children here, it felt like something else entirely. What do we do? Zyrex whispered. We stay out of their way, Dravak advised. If they don't notice us, we'll be safe. But if they decide we're a threat, he let the implication hang, a warning more terrifying than any story he could have told. Zyrex nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the human children. He had always prided himself on his bravery and his willingness to explore the unknown. But this was different. The unknown was staring him in the face, smiling with a grin that promised more than just trouble. As the humans finished their training and returned to their food, Zyrex couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted in the galaxy. These children, so small and seemingly harmless, were more dangerous than any war fleet or superweapon. And they were only just beginning to show the galaxy what they were capable of. In the days that followed, Zyrex and his friends did their best to avoid the human children, but it wasn't easy. The Galactic Academy, though vast, felt too small with the humans around. Their presence loomed like a storm always on the edge of Zyrex's awareness. Other students quietly took the same precautions, steering clear of the humans in the hallways, classrooms, and recreational areas. The humans, for their part, seemed indifferent to the avoidance, going about their days with an unsettling mix of focus and playfulness, toggling between harmless and hazardous. One afternoon, Zyrex found himself in the Academy's vast library, a place he'd always considered a sanctuary. The quiet hum of data archives and soft glow of holographic displays usually offered peace, but today, even the library felt unsafe. As Zyrex browsed through ancient star charts, he overheard the humans on the other side of the room. "Do you think it'll work this time?" one of the human children asked, his voice laced with excitement. "It has to," another replied. "We've been practicing for weeks. Last time was close, but this time we'll make it perfect." Despite his better judgment, Zyrex's curiosity got the better of him. He edged closer, peeking through the gaps in the books. The human children were huddled around a small device, something Zyrex didn't recognize, but clearly a mix of human and alien technology, crudely yet expertly cobbled together. "What is that?" Zyrex whispered to Dravak, who had followed him into the library. Dravak's scales tightened with tension. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it looks wrong." Zyrex's heart pounded as he watched the humans manipulate the device with practiced ease. They exchanged ideas, arguing over technical details far beyond Zyrex's understanding. It wasn't just the complexity of their work that frightened him, it was the way they approached it. They weren't just students. They were creators, innovators, and destroyers. Suddenly, the device emitted a soft whine, followed by a low hum that made the air vibrate. The humans grinned triumphantly. "We did it," the leader, Caden, said. "It's ready." Zyrex's fear spiked. Ready for what? As the humans dismantled the device with the same efficiency they had used to assemble it, Zyrex's mind raced with questions. What were they planning? And why did it feel like they were preparing for something more than just a simulation? The next day, Zyrex's fears deepened during the Academy's weekly combat simulation. Usually, Zyrex looked forward to honing his skills, but today, his thoughts were consumed by the device the humans had built. Assigned to a team opposite the humans, Zyrex moved cautiously through the simulated battlefield. The usual banter among teammates was replaced by tension, as if everyone sensed that something was off. A loud mechanical whir filled the air, followed by rapid high-pitched beeps. Zyrex's team froze. Without warning, the ground erupted in a flash of light. Disoriented, Zyrex struggled to stand. In the distance, he saw the humans advancing, their faces set with grim determination, the device now pulsing ominously in Caden's hands. "They're using it," Zyrex realized, his heart racing. The humans hadn't built a toy. They had created a weapon, and now they were unleashing it. Zyrex and his team were no match for the humans' tactics. Just as defeat seemed inevitable, a booming voice echoed across the battlefield. Simulation terminated. As the environment dissolved, Caden stood before the instructor, defiant but calm. The instructor warned them, but Zyrex knew it wasn't over. These human children were more than just students. They were a force the galaxy wasn't ready for. And this was only the beginning. In the days following the simulation, Zyrex couldn't shake the lingering tension. The Galactic Academy, which had once felt like a bastion of knowledge and diplomacy, now felt like a battleground waiting to ignite. The humans carried on as if nothing had happened, as if the near-disastrous use of the device was just another part of their daily life. But Zyrex knew better. Something had shifted. His unease grew as whispers spread among the alien students. Conversations were filled with half-baked rumors about the human children's speculation on their combat abilities, their strength, and their strange technology. The fear was palpable, though few would openly admit it. Even Dravak, usually eager to share the latest gossip, had fallen unusually quiet, his sharp tongue dulled by the growing anxiety that gripped the academy. Late one evening, Zyrex found himself wandering the empty corridors of the academy, unable to sleep. His thoughts kept drifting back to the humans, particularly to Caden, the boy who led them. There was something in Caden's eyes that disturbed him, something that spoke of a dangerous potential lurking beneath the surface. Turning a corner, Zyrex nearly ran into Dravak, who was clearly just as restless. Dravak greeted him, his voice low. "You look like you've been up all night too, can't sleep," Zyrex admitted. "I keep thinking about." Then Dravak sighed, his scales shimmering in the dim light. "You're not alone. Everyone's talking about it. The humans. They're unsettling. It's not just the way they fight. It's their confidence. Like they know something we don't." Zyrex nodded in agreement, the knot in his stomach tightening. "Caden especially. He's different? He's downright terrifying," Dravak muttered. "And the worst part is, he doesn't even try to be. He's just like that. Cold, calculating. I don't know what their species is preparing for, but whatever it is, it's bigger than the academy." Zyrex couldn't deny the truth in Dravak's words. "Do you think the academy knows? I mean, really knows what they're training these kids for?" Dravak shrugged, though his unease was evident. "I doubt it. The humans have their own ways, their own systems. They've kept to themselves for the most part, but now that their young are here, it feels like we're seeing the tip of something much, much larger." The thought sent a chill through Zyrex. What were the humans truly capable of? And how long before their power became something that couldn't be controlled? Over the next few weeks, the tension within the academy continued to build. Zyrex did his best to focus on his studies, but every time he passed the human children in the halls or saw them practicing their strange, coordinated exercises in the recreational areas, the fear crept back in. They moved with a precision and intensity that was unsettling, as if every action, no matter how casual, was part of some greater, invisible plan. Then, one day, during a routine class on intergalactic diplomacy, things took an unexpected turn. The instructor, an elderly Xenian with vast knowledge of peacekeeping and negotiations, was discussing the delicate balance of power between galactic species when Caden, who had been sitting quietly at the back of the room, raised his hand. "Excuse me, Sir," Caden said, his voice calm but firm. "But isn't it true that peace is only maintained by strength? Without power, diplomacy is meaningless." The room fell silent. The other students exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how to respond to such a bold statement. The instructor cleared his throat, clearly caught off guard. "Diplomacy is about understanding and cooperation, not force. Power alone cannot sustain peace." Caden's eyes narrowed slightly, a glint of something dangerous flashing behind them. "But power ensures survival, doesn't it? Without it, your species could be wiped out by those who do possess strength." Zyrex felt a wave of discomfort wash over him. Caden wasn't asking a question, he was challenging the very foundation of everything the Galactic Academy stood for. The instructor hesitated, sensing the shift in the room. While strength can be a factor, it is not the only one. Peace is a complex, multifaceted system that requires trust, understanding, and respect. Caden interrupted. "And respect is earned through power." For a long moment, no one spoke. The tension in the room was thick, almost unbearable. Zyrex's eyes darted around, noticing the other students' reactions. Some seemed to agree with Caden, their expressions thoughtful, while others looked visibly disturbed. Before the instructor could respond, the classroom doors slid open, and a figure entered. The academy's headmaster, a tall, imposing figure with a presence that commanded immediate respect. "That will be enough," Caden the headmaster said, his voice calm yet authoritative. "There is much to be learned from every perspective, but the values of this academy will not be questioned in such a manner." Caden's gaze met the headmaster's, and for a moment, Zyrex thought he saw a flicker of defiance in the human boy's eyes. But Caden simply nodded and sat back down, his expression unreadable. As the headmaster left, the room remained heavy with the unspoken weight of Caden's words. Later that day, Zyrex found himself once again standing in the library, his mind racing with everything that had transpired. It was becoming clear that the humans, particularly Caden, were not just students here to learn. They were testing boundaries, pushing limits, and quietly altering the dynamics of the academy itself. Dravak joined him, his usual casual demeanor now replaced with something more serious. "Zyrex, we need to be careful. I don't think we're safe here anymore." Zyrex frowned. "What do you mean?" "The human, they're playing a long game," Dravak said, his voice hushed. "And I don't think we're the only ones starting to notice. I overheard some of the instructors talking earlier. They're concerned, but they don't know how to handle it. The humans are unpredictable, and worse, they're unstoppable." Zyrex looked out the library window, his thoughts swirling. He had always felt a certain bravery in facing the unknown, in exploring the vastness of the galaxy. But now, that bravery felt insignificant in the face of what was unfolding around him. "I don't know what we can do," Zyrex admitted quietly. And of course the humans were participating. Zyrex's anxiety had been building all day, knowing that Caden and his team would be part of the competition. Dravak stood beside him, his scales shimmering with unease. "I have a bad feeling about this," he muttered, his eyes scanning the field below. "Me too," Zyrex replied, watching as Caden and his team took their positions. The humans moved with their usual precision and focus, their faces calm and composed. They didn't look nervous. In fact, they didn't even seem to care about the competition. It was just another exercise to them. As the tournament began, Zyrex's fears were quickly realized. The humans dominated from the very start, moving through the simulated battlefield with a level of coordination and efficiency that left the other teams scrambling. Their tactics were flawless, their maneuvers brutal. Within minutes, they had captured the first objective, eliminating 2 entire teams in the process. Zyrex's sleep was increasingly restless, plagued by thoughts of Caden and the others. What were they preparing for? And why did it seem like no one was taking the growing threat seriously? Even the instructors, who had once seemed so firm and unwavering, now seemed cautious, almost nervous, whenever the human children were involved. One morning, while sitting in the academy's mess hall, Zyrex overheard a group of senior students discussing the humans. Their voices were low, but Zyrex could hear the unmistakable edge of fear in their tones. "They're not like us," one of them whispered. "The humans. They don't operate the way the rest of the galaxy does. They're too unpredictable." "Unpredictable," another student replied. "That's putting it lightly. I heard one of them took out a training drone in under a second during a combat simulation. A drone programmed for elite-level warriors." Zyrex felt a knot form in his stomach as he listened. It was clear that the humans' reputation was growing, but not in the way anyone had expected. What was supposed to be an exchange of cultures and knowledge at the academy was slowly turning into something far more dangerous. The tipping point came during one of the academy's most prestigious events, the annual intergalactic tournament. The tournament was a long-standing tradition designed to showcase the physical and tactical prowess of the academy's best and brightest students from all species. It was supposed to be a friendly competition, a way to foster camaraderie among the diverse races that made up the Galactic Academy. But this year, with the human children competing, everything was about to change. Zyrex and Dravak stood in the crowded arena, watching as the various teams prepared for the tournament's final event, the team battle. This was the most anticipated challenge, where multiple teams would face off in a simulated war zone, using strategy and combat skills to capture key objectives. It was the event where the strongest would rise to the top. Dravak's eyes flickered with a hint of resolve. Stay out of their way, just like I said before. But also, keep watching. We need to know what they're planning. Because whatever it is, it's coming, and when it does, we can't afford to be caught off guard. As Zyrex nodded, a chill settled over him, deeper and more unsettling than before. The humans had already changed the academy in ways no one had expected, and something told him the galaxy would never be the same. As the days passed, the tension in the academy continued to mount. The human children, with Caden at the forefront, seemed to be moving further ahead of their peers in both skill and knowledge. Their daily activities, which once appeared innocent or playful, now carried a weight that no one could ignore. Other students, once merely curious, were now avoiding them altogether, and Zyrex could hardly blame them. The humans exuded a quiet confidence that was unsettling, as if they were always 2 steps ahead, always prepared for something the rest of the academy couldn't see. Zyrex watched in horror as Caden led his team with a cold, calculating efficiency. Every move was deliberate, every strike precise. The other teams didn't stand a chance. One by one, they were taken down, their efforts futile against the sheer force and strategy of the humans. By the time the final objective came into view, it was clear to everyone in the arena that the humans were going to win. The audience, once filled with cheers and excitement, had grown eerily quiet. Even the instructors, who usually watched with pride as their students competed, now exchanged nervous glances. "This isn't right," Zyrex muttered, his eyes locked on Caden as he delivered the final blow to the last remaining opponent. "They're not just winning. They're obliterating everyone." Dravak nodded grimly. "They're showing us what they can do. And I don't think this is even the full extent of their power." As the tournament concluded and Caden's team was declared the winner, the atmosphere in the arena felt heavy. The human children stood in the center of the field, their faces unreadable, while the rest of the students watched in stunned silence. There was no celebration, no joy. Only the stark realization that the humans had just demonstrated something far more significant than a simple victory. In the days following the tournament, the academy's mood shifted even further. Whispers of fear circulated among the students, and the human children were now viewed with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Even the instructors seemed unsure of how to proceed. The humans had proven their superiority, not just in combat, but in their sheer capacity to outthink and outperform everyone else. Zyrex found himself avoiding the humans as much as possible. It wasn't just that they were dangerous, it was that they seemed so indifferent to the fear they caused. Caden, in particular, continued to lead his group with an eerie calmness, as if everything was unfolding exactly as he had planned. One evening, Zyrex and Dravak sat together in the quiet of the academy's gardens, reflecting on everything that had happened. "Do you think this is it?" Zyrex asked quietly. "That the humans have already shown us their full power?" Dravak shook his head. "No, this was just a glimpse. They're holding back. I'm sure of it." Zyrex shivered at the thought. "So what happens next?" Dravak's gaze was distant, his voice low. "I don't know, but whatever it is, the galaxy isn't ready for it." A week later, everything changed. The academy was hit with an unexpected emergency alert, something that had never happened before. Zyrex and the rest of the students were gathered in the main hall, where the instructors, along with the academy's high command, delivered the news a hostile alien force had been detected on the outskirts of the system. The academy was going into lockdown, and all students were to prepare for evacuation. Panic rippled through the crowd. The Galactic Academy was supposed to be a safe haven, a place of peace. An attack on its grounds was unthinkable. But as Zyrex glanced toward the humans, he saw something that chilled him to his core. Caden wasn't afraid. In fact, he seemed almost excited. "They're ready for this," Zyrex whispered to Dravak. "They've been preparing all along." Dravak's scales tightened with tension. "You think this is why they're here?" To face something like this before Zyrex could respond, The Academy's alarms blared, signaling that the evacuation was underway. Students and instructors scrambled to their designated areas, but Zyrex noticed that the human children didn't move. Instead, they huddled together, speaking in low tones, their expressions calm and focused. Zyrex's heart raced. Whatever was about to happen, the humans were at the center of it. The attack came swiftly and without warning. The hostile force race known as the Krell descended upon the Academy with a ferocity that left everyone scrambling. The Krell were a ruthless species, known for their advanced weaponry and brutal tactics. The Academy's defenses struggled to hold them off, and soon chaos erupted as students and staff were forced to take up arms. Zyrex fought alongside his fellow students, his heart pounding in his chest. The battle was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Explosions rocked the Academy grounds, and the skies above were filled with the flashes of energy weapons. But even in the midst of the chaos, one thing became clear: the humans were thriving. Caden and his team moved through the battlefield with a precision that was terrifying to behold. While other students struggled to keep up, the humans were in their element, their combat training and instincts kicking in. They coordinated their attacks flawlessly, taking down Krell warriors with ease. Zyrex watched in awe and fear as Caden led his team deeper into the heart of the battle. The humans weren't just fighting to survive, they were fighting to win. As the battle raged on, Zyrex found himself face to face with Caden in the heat of the conflict. For a moment, their eyes met, and Zyrex saw something in Caden's gaze that he hadn't seen before: purpose. Caden gave a small, almost imperceptible nod before turning back to the fight. It was then that Zyrex realized the truth. The humans hadn't come to the Academy to learn. They had come to prepare. And now, with the galaxy's future hanging in the balance, they were ready to take their place as its most dangerous protectors. In the aftermath of the battle, the Academy was left in ruins, but the Krell had been defeated thanks in no small part to the human children. As Zyrex stood among the wreckage, watching as the human team regrouped, he felt a deep sense of awe and fear. The galaxy had feared human children for their potential, but now that potential had been realized. And as Zyrex looked toward the horizon, he knew that the galaxy's balance of power had shifted irrevocably. The humans were no longer just children. They were warriors. And they were warriors. And they were ready for whatever came next. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. For every comment that says, we will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.